Want to hear a shocking statistic that I absolutely hate? In 2025, women held just 16% of directing roles and 7% of cinematographer roles. Hollywood is structurally frozen when it comes to women. But after spending a weekend at the Alliance of Women Directors, I am seeing how women are taking things in their own hands, especially in the indie world. I saw this weekend that the studios might not be progressing, but women absolutely are as filmmakers. Let me give you a little bit of backstory before we go much further. So in 2001, I entered film school. I left it in 2006, completely and totally convinced that I could never make it in Hollywood. I saw over and over and over again boys pushed into the technical fields like cinematography, like editing, like directing, and women, or girls at the time, were being told to critique the boys. We could be the bleeding heart documentarians that never made any money, or we could be screenwriters. But it was well known that screenwriters were treated like crap. I didn't have many women professors, and when I did, they were teaching critiquing, not the actual making of films. In fact, I didn't know that we had a pathway that would teach you how to use cameras for cinematography and directors until a guy friend of mine was put in the class, a class that I was never even offered by my guidance counselor. And I'm very lucky. The guidance counselor was amazing and supportive of me as a writer and got me into advanced writing classes in undergrad. But I was never given the opportunity to be a director, not the way the boys were. I didn't see women making it. And so I didn't think I could make it as a woman, more or less a queer and fat woman. In fact, quite the opposite. Every single person I came across told me how horrible it would be for me in Hollywood as a queer fat woman. I would have to completely change myself. I'd have to lose a bunch of weight. I'd have to go back into the closet, and I'd have to deal with some horrific misogyny if I wanted to make it in this industry. So of course I didn't go into this industry. And for a long time I thought that was just how Hollywood was, and I was gonna have to give up my dreams of making movies to keep my soul intact. But after I put out my book, Because Fat Girl, and I saw it in airports and bookstores everywhere, I thought, screw that. I'm gonna make movies and I'm gonna do it on my own terms. One of the first things I did was look for other women out there doing it. I need proof of yes. I signed up for this Alliance of Women Directors, knowing really little about the organization. I went to their conference and here's what I found. You know that stereotype where women pit against each other? We see each other as our competition. We're mean, we're angry, we're bitter. We are mean girls to each other. We compare each other's outfits. We're catty, we're bitchy, we're mean. I saw none of that. None of that. And I saw that 20 years ago when I entered the industry. Every woman seemed like the other one's competition. All the marginalized and minority and historically underrepresented communities were seen as each other's competition. But here I am at the Alliance of Women Directors, and it is one of the most diverse rooms I've ever been in of creatives. Everybody looks amazing. The fashion was so on point. There was a ton of diversity of size and racial identities and ethnic identities and sexual orientation. And the best thing of all, everybody was super friendly. As a 43-year-old re-entering the industry, I thought for sure I would feel so behind. And that if I talked to people about my history, I would get this like, oh, well, who are you? And you're starting too late. And I had so many ideas of the rejection I would get. But every single person I told my story to said one of two things. One, they agreed with me and completely validated that this fear of the misogyny and the homophobia and the fatphobia and the horrific way that they treat women and the hurdles we have to overcome in the industry is absolutely correct. Throughout the weekend, again and again, I heard stories about how hard it is for women to make it as directors and cinematographers in this industry. That is not just in my head. I am not just making it up. It is real. And two, they welcomed me with open arms back into the fold. Every single person I talked to, every single woman that I talked to was supportive completely of my dreams. It was the epitome of collaboration over competition. We cheered each other on, we helped each other with resources, and we followed up with each other to see how we could continue to support each other past this weekend. I will never forget sitting around the table the first day at lunch and talking to women about what has changed in the industry. Everybody at that table agreeing that the misogyny hasn't gotten any better. But now women aren't putting up with it. We are banding together, having groups like this, and we are saying we're going forward regardless of what men say. We are going to protect each other from the predators in the industry. We are going to mentor each other and lift each other up and open doors for each other. We cannot keep waiting for the industry to change. We are changing it ourselves. And that was absolutely beautiful. Here's the second thing that came from this weekend. Along with collaboration over competition, there was no gatekeeping. Every single person who got up and spoke shared everything that they knew about the craft. Because we understand that hiding how you do it is not going to keep us going forward as a group. Women got up there and gave everything that they knew about how to pitch to producers. A woman got up there and showed everything that she knew about how to direct vertical microdramas from step by step, like I was taking a college course. They taught us how to use equipment. They taught us how to make 3D renderings of fight scenes so we could do stunts and action. They taught us software. They taught us how to come together and collaborate and find different programs that will pair you up with somebody who has the skill set that you need. They shared grant information. They offered specific grants just at this event. They shared how to find funding. Someone even shared their workout routine for holding the camera for as long as you have to if you want to be a cinematographer. There was so much sharing of information because we all recognize that the gatekeeping doesn't need to be intellect. The gatekeeping already is misogyny. So if we can share our knowledge with each other, we can share our structures and our processes with each other. If we can mentor each other, we can create more jobs for each other, more opportunities for each other. Because again, we are not each other's competition. I left this event with 80 pages of notes to make me a better director and a better human. And what matters for you is that I left that event even more dedicated to sharing my journey with you, to sharing all the information that I learned with you. Because if my process of my creative life blueprint, how I live my life as a creative, if my process of putting myself out there, 33S, how I pitch myself and ask for what I want, if my process of writing a book and write your freaking book already, if my process of making money in my writer's career guide, if my process of learning to come back to film can help you with my knowledge in any way possible, if it can encourage you to see that it's possible, get the skills you need to go out and try it yourself, if I can help you live a boldly creative life in any way at all, I'm going to share as much information as I can. I am all about collaboration over competition, and this weekend just showed how that can not only change your life, but it can make a ripple effect in the world. And the more people are out there using our voice, the more powerful we are to be able to shape the narrative to be more inclusive of voices like our own. And this all matters so much right now. It is one of the biggest pieces of activism that I can do as a creative and you can do as a creative. So follow along if you want to learn as I learn, and go out there and know that I'm here cheering you on, because the world needs our stories now more than ever. Did you like this video? Found it helpful? Be sure to follow along on Substack, YouTube, and Instagram, where I'm sharing everything about the process of making this short film so you can be inspired to tell your story as well.